this demo, we are starting with a table called Auto Loan Applications. We're going to use AISQL to augment that table, and then we will feed that augmented table with another table with dimensional information about dealerships into a semantic view that will then be called by an agent and then accessed through Snowflake Intelligence so that we can chat with that data. After all that, we will call the agent API from the agent that we created from the command line so that you can see how you might send yourself an email where the agent points out any anomalies that it sees in the augmented loan application data, and you could imagine setting that on some sort of cron job or schedule. Soon in Snowflake, you'll be able to call an agent or the agent API directly in a task or via SQL. And at that time, you can do what I'm doing in the command line in a scheduled task within Snowflake. But the cron job is a pretty easy route to go for now. So here's my auto loan application data. So I have an application ID. The application's linked to a customer and a dealership, some dimensional information about the customer, and then some key columns I wanted to point out is this how heard column. So that's a free response column that the customer entered, how they heard about the dealership. And then a loan justification reason. So why do they need this loan? And you can see this is, a few sentences per customer. And this one, for example, says their car broke down completely last week and they need reliable transportation to get to their job immediately. So there's various things that we're going to do with these two free text columns before we feed it into a semantic view. So we'll first use Cortex built-in functions and AISQL functions to augment this data. So the first one here is AI classify. And I'm taking that loan justification column that we just looked at, and I want to get that text into these predefined categories that I am giving it. So here, this is urgent replacement or breakdown. Maybe it's a safety family issue. So here, we're not having AI identify the categories. That would be kind of a different use case. For AI classify, we are giving it a piece of text and telling it to group it into these predefined categories. We're saving that as justification category. Here we're using AI classify again, but on the how heard column. And we want to know whether it's a friend or family referral, organic SEO, or a dealer referral. Or maybe they're an existing customer. We're now using the AI complete function for some prompt engineering. So in this particular function, you can choose your model. So here we're choosing Claude 4 Sonnet. There are also ways to kind of limit the models or choose within a set of models for other AISQL functions. Although since these functions are particular to a task like classification, for example, or summarization for AI summarize, there are particular models that Snowflake chooses to use for these that are the best price performance. All right, so here for AI Complete, we're giving it the prompt to rate the loan justification on a scale of 1 to 5 for the urgency of the application. So we're giving it we're basically creating an urgency score where I just want to be able to identify the loan applications with the highest urgency. And then lastly, we're using a Snowflake built-in function called sentiment. And so you could, write your own functions for any of these things. Or you could use the Snowflake built-in version that already has very high accuracy and especially in the AISQL case is very cheap for the task at hand. So Cortex.sentiment, and we're giving it the loan justification column, just extracting a sentiment score from what the customers wrote there, and then we're grouping that sentiment into categories based on the score. So after all that, we have a augmented loan application table, and you can see all the fields added at the end. the how heard category, the loan justification category, the urgency score from 1 to 5. And let's just check this top row. So it gave a pretty high urgency score of 4. The category was an urgent replacement and breakdown. Pretty positive sentiment. And the loan justification was, the old car broke down completely last week and I need a reliable transformation to get to my new job immediately. So we do see that urgency in there, and it's relatively positive sentiment. All right, so we have our augmented data, and now we're going to navigate to the AI/ML tab, and we're going to go into Cortex Analyst to create a semantic view. So I'll go ahead and go through the flow of creating that view. So I'm going to switch my role real quick to a Snowflake Intelligence admin role. Choose a warehouse. Create a new semantic view. First, the view name, I'll say demo semantic view. And you would enter a description for the semantic view. Just for time's sake, I will skip this step. And for selecting the tables, I want to select the auto loan applications augmented table. And I also want to link that table to my dealerships. I'd like to select all the columns from both tables, and I'll go ahead and add the semantic values and descriptions using AI to the semantic view, which is just helpful to get me started. And then it automatically creates the semantic view here. You can see it's generating the metadata. This will take a minute, but you can see that it grouped all of the fields into dimensions or facts. You can add custom instructions here as you develop your semantic view, which is really important for getting it to behave the correct way or as expected. Relationships here, we want to make sure that it's joining the loan applications to the dealerships on the right key. So I'll go ahead and add a relationship and say applications to dealerships. And my left table will be auto loan applications, dealerships, and it looks like I need to just define a primary key for dealerships. So I'll go ahead into that table and add a primary key, which is the dealership ID. Save that, and then I should be good here. Yep, dealership ID. Dealership ID, and I'll go ahead and add that relationship, making sure that it's joining on the correct column when we're asking information across those two tables. I could add some derived metrics here, and verified queries are also another important part of semantic views. I can go ahead into the playground and do things like give me the total number of loan applications. And then as Cortex Analyst is generating the SQL for this, I will evaluate that SQL, and if I agree with it, which I do, I'll go ahead and add that as a verified query so that if someone asks that same question in the future or something similar, it will pull from the verified query and make sure that it has a trusted response. All right. So I have my semantic view, and I want to create an agent that will call that semantic view. So in this, let's save this first. In this particular example, it's going to be a really simplified agent here. It'll just have access to a single tool, demo agent. All right, so now I have my demo agent here that I just created. I'll go ahead and edit it. Describe, an overview of the agent. This agent can answer questions about loan applications This description will show up whenever a user is accessing the agent. So you can see right here, and you'll see in a second in Snowflake Intelligence, that's part of what shows up for the user and tells them kind of how to use the tool. So we'll give it an example question. So for example, show me total applications by dealership. And so that shows up as a sample question, and that's selectable by the user. So it gives them a chance to ask a question of the agent to kind of get to know what the agent knows and how to use it. So for tools, I want to connect my semantic view. So I'll go ahead and add that. That's the demo semantic view that I just created. And give it a description. This analyst tool can answer questions about loan application data. Okay, I could add a query timeout here. I'll leave that for now. And I'll add that tool. You can see that I could add a lot of other tools, including another semantic view or a Cortex search service. So if you have any unstructured data that you'd like to feed into this agent or give it access to, that would be the place to do it. Or a custom tool. I'll show you an example in a second where I added a custom tool for sending an email. So if you ask the agent to send you an email to this address, it would know how to do that. I can add in some orchestration instructions. Well, first selecting my model between these options of Claude or GPT, just the orchestration model. You can add in orchestration instructions, if there are specific ways that you'd like the agent to reason through tasks, how it should choose the right tools and sequence actions. Also some response instructions for setting rules about, how the agent should respond and sound to users who are interacting with it. Any time limits or token limits you want to impose on the agent, and then you can give the necessary access to the users that would be accessing your agent. All right, so once your agent is saved, it can be accessed through many different ways. It can be accessed outside of Snowflake through the API, and I'll show that in just a second. Or you can access it through Snowflake Intelligence, which is our UI for agentic chatbots. So I'll go ahead and open, or I already have Snowflake Intelligence open here. I'm chatting with my auto loan agent, and I'm asking it, what is the loan approval rate by dealership? It's telling me that it used one verified query, so that could impact, the trust that I have in the response that it's giving me. So I have all the details of its thinking here, including the SQL that it executed and all of the planning that it did. And then below, it's giving me a chart of loan approval rates by dealership. So I was able to know that my question is a comparative question. I'm comparing dealerships against one another. So a chart might be a good visualization to see this data. I can also toggle to the table version of the same data. Looks like dealership number 7 has the highest approval rate. Then it has some key findings for me as well. So you can also access this agent from outside of Snowflake, and here I have a curl command where I am calling the agent run API for my auto loan agent test, which is the same agent that I'm accessing there. And I have two tools for this agent. So I have the analyst tool, which is the semantic view that we just created. And then I also have a send email tool that I created for the agent to know how to send an email to a given email address with a subject line that's defined by the user. So I can call it from here, but just for the sake of time, as it goes through all the thinking steps, I'll show you an example email that it will send. So here I asked it for a summary of or any anomalies that it sees in the loan application data. And so it's telling me that it sees some extreme daily approval rate volatility. There might be some specific things I should look into here. Also, some inconsistent application volume patterns. There's some unusual low volume days with only one application. There's some credit score and loan amount trends. So you can imagine this being a report that maybe you have the agent send to you monthly. And maybe it's sent to your analysts so that they can see at least the start of where they might look into deeper. So this could be a real like proactive aid for your analysts who are looking into this data.